Hello everybody, I'd like to welcome you back to my channel. I'm going to do work on the energetics of emotional attachment. We all think emotional attachment is a good thing, and we often think that emotional attachment is love. Doesn't necessarily mean that. Today I want to talk about emotional attachment in another form. For example, if you have two people and they're in a relationship, you can have one person who's very emotionally attached and another person who's very small on their attachment with that person. So you have like a irregular thing. And often these emotional attachments that we form came from our childhood. For example, our father or our mother. So either it's both or one or the other. If you look back, you will have a feeling about which parent you were emotionally attached to. And the feeling of being emotionally attached to someone that is unhealthy is that you never feel that they really give back. You don't feel nourished by it. You feel like they withhold somewhat. You always feel like you're trying to get their attention or something like that, or their love. And that's a really unhealthy emotional attachment. Unfortunately, when we have these attachments, especially energetically, it means that they have more power over us. It's an energetic power because the person who's more attached has less power than the person who's just a little bit attached. It's actually very healthy to have equal attachment, and actually probably of a smaller amount, so you're not very attached to the person in that sense of being energetically needing something or dependent on them. When you have this old pattern that you formed when you were a child, probably, that will go through all your life, and often it will go with the same gender. For example, if you had emotional attachment problems with your dad, you might end up then replicating that in all your relationships with male energy. It's important for you to look at this because it maybe is a reason you can't always disconnect from people either, or they just seem to like get under your skin and really rattle you and you can't get through it. The most important thing is to find out who you're attached to. You can really get a feeling about it. I found when I was looking at it that the love given and the attention given isn't equal. And that really sets you up for getting more attached to them in some way because you want it to work, you want to be close, you want to see them more, you want them to love you more. And as soon as you get that difference, the attachment for you then is not good. So how do you get rid of it and recognise that it's not healthy for you? And in some ways it's not good for them because they have a power over you energetically because you're very attached to them, so they can play with that and play with your emotions, which they usually do. I think the best thing is to recognise it, as we've just said, and then the next thing is to cut the attachment cord. It's like an energetic thing that you do. So you cut it, so you think of it, maybe it's your brother or your mum or whoever it is, even a friend, and you feel like you're always on the back foot with them and you're always asking to see them more, wanting more from them than they do from the relationship. You will feel like they don't invest as much. That's what it also feels like. So you just cut the cord from them and say, I love you, but from now on I'm not emotionally attached to you in that unhealthy way, because it's quite toxic for the aura to have this energy running not properly between you. I usually do some tapping on it. So I think of the person and I tap, even though I have a high emotional attachment to you, I want to let that go. I want to cut it and let it go, and I tap my way out of it. I also then do meditation where I have a little talk to them and say, from now on, I'm not going to be emotionally attached to you, I love you, sending you lots of love, but I'm cutting it. The person will feel it energetically. When I did it to 5 people when they taught me how to do it, and one of them actually wrote to me and they could feel the difference and queried about what's going on, kind of thing. A very quick response. Other people, you will just sense that they know, in a sense, you're not standing in the same place anymore and you're not going to be at their beck and call anymore in that old way. But the most important thing is that once we learn that we're attaching in that way to certain types of personalities or their behaviours, then we cut that and then we won't attract that back in because we sort of learnt the lesson. It won't be with everyone that you have this, but it will be with people who are similar to that first parent. That's what it feels like to me. Or even that first partner, being long life partner or very important relationship you've had with someone. Cutting it is good for you, but it's also good for them, and it equalises everything. And it's like taking your power back because now you're not needy of them. You don't need them to nourish you. You don't need them to be there for you. You become more independent, and that's a really good thing energetically, because it brings your energy back into yourself. So instead of you dissipating your energy out to them all the time, sending it out to them, which they probably like on one level, but maybe they find that irritating too. You're not doing that anymore. You're just standing in your own space with them and just sending love. I think you have to think about how this is affecting your life. I was really relieved when they showed me how to do it, and I started doing the work, and I actually felt liberated. Felt really good once I did it. It was like, oh, that's why I keep attracting that. That's why I keep feeling that way. And even though it's very simplistic, I think it's monumental in shifting consciousness in our relationships, and also starting a new future with people. The love is usually fairly conditional when you're in that kind of relationship. So if you're the one who's very emotionally attached, you'll find the person you're with, very high percentage of those people will only love you conditionally, and there'll be some control and punishment things coming up there, and definitely some withholding. And I kind of feel there's usually high percentage of those people, there'll be some emotional abuse around it, or mental abuse, even psychological. If you don't know who the people are, because I'm just talking to you out there in internet world, if you don't know who they are, just look at your problem relationships and then just do the process. So see them, cut it, send love, do the tapping, do meditation, release it, have a little telepathic talk to them and tell them I've just done this and I won't be attaching to you in that unhealthy way for me and possibly for you. It's powerful, it's big, it's going to change your life now, I feel, because you will now understand why you get in that loop with them and just can't let it go, or have trouble releasing, or knowing you don't want to be feeling this way because it's just an old pattern. And because these things start when we're little kids, we don't realise the setup, we don't understand it. For example, in my life, when I went back and checked, and I used my pendulum to ask how attached I was and how attached they were. When I did my father, I was like very, very attached to him. He was very not attached to me. My mother was about equal, both the same attachment, and my sister and I were equal, about the same attachment, which was actually much more healthy. When I went in my marriage, I was very, very attached. The person I was married to was not very attached. And that's why there was discrepancy always in the marriage, and that's why the attachment style that I had with my father just transferred to my husband. I don't want to do that anymore. I want it to be kind of equal, and I want the priority to be unconditional love. That's what I seek. And I think that you'll feel the same way. Do some work on it. Send me a little message if you feel a difference. I felt a difference within a very short time of doing it, and now in the next few weeks it will change. I think also how I relate to those people and then how they relate to me will change now, because they, in a sense, don't have as much power in the relationship, and I don't need them in that same way. I've cut it off and I meet my own needs in the relationship. So it's going to be very interesting for me in the next few months to see the differences. Remember that being emotionally attached does not equal loving them. They're two different things. Attachment should be there on some degree if you're in a relationship, of course it should, but it shouldn't be, you're a big bread and butter plate and they're like a tiny little egg cup. That's not going to be a good relationship for anyone, and that's what you're trying to get back to normal. So now when I went and checked today and checked my pendulum, our attachment was about the same size, which was about smaller than a little egg cup, quite small, but they were both the same size. So now the relationship is sitting in a good space, a much better space energetically. Have fun with it, enjoy your week, and you can always go back again and redo it, because in some ways some people will try and re-establish it how it was. If you feel that you're getting attached again, just go back and do the work again. So I'm wishing you well and have fun with doing this one. I found it really, really, really interesting, and I wanted to share it with you. Sending you lots of love and lots of light.